Sea dragons drift through Australia's coastal waters, shaped by a life spent hiding among kelp and swaying algae as currents guide nearly everything they do. Their bodies are elongated and covered in leaf-like appendages that turn them into part of the vegetation rather than an animal moving through open water. Those appendages are not used for swimming. Instead, tiny transparent fins near the head and tail provide just enough propulsion to maneuver without breaking their disguise. Weedy sea dragons share the same habitat but rely on thinner, branch-like projections that mimic drifting seaweed in areas where kelp is sparse. Their camouflage is most effective in surge zones, where tides constantly move the vegetation, giving predators a hard time picking out anything living among the motion. Sea dragons depend heavily on structure in their environment because they aren't strong swimmers, relying instead on drifting currents to take them from one feeding spot to another. Feeding begins with stealth, approaching tiny crustaceans like mysid shrimp, using slow movements until the dragon is close enough to strike. Their long, tubular snouts act like straws, sucking prey in with a rapid vacuum motion that leaves almost no disturbance in the water. Every meal is small, so they feed throughout the day, always searching, always drifting. Their colors shift slightly with age, diet, and even sunlight exposure, blending them further into golden or reddish kelp beds. Sea dragons follow a slower pace of life, growing gradually over years while rarely venturing far from the structures that shelter them. Their courtship involves synchronized drifting, rising upward together as they mirror each other's movements in the mild morning currents. The male takes on parental duties, carrying the eggs on a specialized patch under his tail until they hatch weeks later. Once the young hatch, they receive no further care and must immediately rely on camouflage and stillness to survive. Juveniles drift in shallower areas where seagrass and algae provide shelter, growing slowly as their appendages develop. Predators, such as larger fish or cephalopods, may occasionally spot them, but the dragon's survival relies mostly on remaining indistinguishable from drifting debris. Even with their camouflage, sea dragons face threats from habitat loss as warming waters reduce kelp forests in parts of southern Australia. Storm events and changing currents can also scatter them into less suitable areas, forcing long, energy-costly journeys back to shelter. Despite these pressures, they remain icons of Australia's marine parks, drawing divers from around the world who search patiently for their subtle motion. Each sighting reveals how well evolution sculpted them for disguise, turning survival into an art form woven into every appendage on their bodies. Their bones are surprisingly rigid, helping them maintain posture even when currents tug them in conflicting directions. This rigidity also limits sharp turns, reinforcing their strategy of gentle drifting rather than active pursuit or escape. They prefer cooler, temperate waters, thriving where kelp forests create shade and structure that mirror their own shapes. Kelp forests also support abundant plankton and tiny shrimp populations that fuel their nearly constant feeding. As slow-moving specialists, sea dragons evolve alongside the plants around them, matching not just color but even the twisting geometry of kelp blades. Their eyes move independently, allowing them to scan for prey while keeping their bodies still to avoid revealing themselves. This ability gives them a quiet advantage, letting them strike at precise moments without sudden movement that might attract attention. Sea dragons rarely form groups, but individuals sometimes drift parallel to each other when currents push them along the same path. These moments highlight how peaceful their world is, built around slow rhythms rather than sudden bursts of energy. They avoid open sand and bare rock where they have no cover, choosing instead the tangled places where their bodies make the most sense. When they must cross open areas, they angle themselves to mimic drifting seaweed, letting motion disguise their shape. This behavior is essential since they cannot outswim predators. Stillness and mimicry are their only defenses. Divers sometimes mistake them for plants, swimming right past without realizing a living animal is hovering inches away. This subtlety has made them symbols of patience, stillness, and the hidden complexity in Australia's coastal ecosystems. In a world driven by speed and motion, sea dragons survive by becoming part of the landscape, letting water, plants, and rhythm shape their quiet lives.